Hello everyone, hope you're well. So I've come on today doing voiceover for several reasons, mostly because I had to heavily edit this video, and so I thought voiceover might work better. Anyway, as I say, I hope you're all well and welcome to Mixed Media Wednesday. So I said last week that I was going to do some jelly printing or gel printing, and that's what I'm going to do. So I've got my gel plate. I've only got a small one, I haven't got a large one. This is the only one I've got, so this is what I'm using. I'm just cleaning it off at the moment. I thought it would be a good idea to do some gel printing to create collage papers for the future. So, create pattern papers to use in collage, basically. So that's what I thought I would do today. So the main thing is to get some textures and, see what comes out of it. So that's the plan. Excuse me. What I was going to say is, before I start, is that I do find this gel printing quite difficult at times. Like, it's a very uncertain, you're not certain what you're going to get. You're never certain what you're going to get, and it's hard to be absolutely precise about what you're going to get. Every time you do it, it's different. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So here I'm just showing you some of the more liquid acrylics that I've got there, and then these are the tube acrylics, which are slightly thicker. Usually, sometimes they're not, but usually they're a little bit thicker. So I'm just showing you what I'm using. I've got a variety of colours in all of them, really, so I could mix and match and do some mixing on the plate itself. As I say, the gel printing can be, very uncertain, and because of that, quite often people, are not happy with the results. But I think it's all about experimentation. So I've put a bit of black down there, probably a bit too much. And what I should have done first, before I put the paint down, was to tell you what papers I'm using. Excuse me. So I'm using some newsprint papers that I've cut to size, some wet strength tissue papers, and I've got some printing papers as well. So I've got a few bits of paper. There's my brayer, and now I'm going to just spread the paint around the gel plate. As I said, I've probably got a bit too much paint on there, so I'm going to roll it on, and then I'm going to roll off. Excuse me. So I'm just showing you I've got too much paint on there. So then I've put a piece of paper down and I roll it off on the paper. Any excess is rolled off onto a separate piece of paper. There we go, I'm showing you. So that sometimes it can be pretty enough or interesting enough to use separately anyways, as just another some more collage papers. So that, don't discard those papers. They're often quite interesting and produce interesting results. So that's just called your roll-off paper, as I said. So I think I'm trying to think about what I'm going to use. So I've got these very, very old lead, I think they're lead, stencils, but I'm not going to use them right now. I have this piece of paper, some packaging paper, that I'm going to use instead. I'm going to lay that down on top of the paint on the gel plate and see what we get from that. It's a nice, interesting piece of textured paper. Here I'm using some wet strength tissue paper. There are two sides to this type of paper. It's very strong. You've got a sort of a shiny side and a dull side, and it's the dull side that you want to do the printing on. So shiny side up, basically. So I'm just using my hands to press down to get as much of the paint up onto the tissue paper as I can. And then I can, so this is sort of the first part of a print. And I think I'm looking for my other brayer here. I've got two rollers, two brayers, and I was looking for my other one. I couldn't see it, so I'm using this one. I'm just rolling it to try and get as much of the paint up as I possibly can onto this piece of tissue paper. So very unpredictable, but I really like that print. I think it's interesting. And I can see that the gel plate has still got some paint on that I don't want, so I'm taking it off using this piece of paper. So I can use this paper, as I said, this is for use in my collages or whatever it is I'm going to work on. You know, I have a sort of a stack of papers that I can use. I've still got plenty of papers left from the last session that I did on my own without the cameras. And yeah, I used a little bit the last week, and I'll probably use some next week, or if I decide to do collage. So it's a really good session to do, to get some interesting pieces of paper to use, you know, interesting marks. So pulled it back, and you can see it didn't really do an awful lot. Now, sometimes when you pull back and you can't see very much, when you put more paint, another layer of paint down, that can often produce, you know, it can show you that those marks are more visible than they are on the gel plate. However, I think what I'm probably going to do is do some more mark making on the gel print plate. So I'm putting a white layer of paint over the top, and then I'm going to do more mark making on top. So I'm not really relying on what's underneath. You can see the black actually showing through there, the paint showing through. But yeah, I decided I'm still going to do some other further printing. I decided I'm going to use this little it's packaging from the bubble packaging from Painkillers, and it produces quite a nice texture actually. So it's, you know, it's worth looking at all types of different bits of stuff that you have lying around the house, things that you're going to throw away. You know, you can use them for this sort of thing. So it's better if you can dry a little bit and wait a little bit until it's dry before you take the print. So I'm just letting it dry a little bit there. So this is a bit for anybody watch. This is why partly why the video was edited, because you really don't want to wait while it's all drying, and so yeah, it's heavily edited in between. Okay, so that's my other brayer. Found my other brayer. I'm telling you about it. Yeah, I think I must have used the bubble package a bit more there as well. And now I'm putting on some of the other blue paint using a different brayer. So when you're using a brayer, you can see there that as I'm rolling, I'm lifting up. I'm not rolling in a continuous roll backwards and forwards. I roll by rolling forward and then lifting the brayer up, or there, as you can see, roll, lift it up, roll, lift it up. So you don't roll backwards and forwards. Each movement is lifting up, you know, rolling and then lifting up. And that's the best way to do it, to get an even coat of paint all over. Some brays are better than others. The one I'm using there isn't great. It's okay, but it isn't great. It's not as nice as the first one that I used. Just putting some more roll-off paper there, and then I'm laying a sheet of newsprint down to take a print. And this is basically it with jelly printing. I mean, you sort of, you can do lots of layers, colours and layers, and you can, use lots of different tools to create marks. I could do something very similar to what I did when I did the printing workshop, or printing video rather, that I did a couple of weeks back now. But I don't want to do that. I want to try and use different tools to show you what textures you can get. I mean, it's all experimentation. That's what jelly print is, really, because as I could say, you can't predict the outcome. So everything is an experiment. You can become more confident in it, but, as I say, you never really know what you're going to get. Sometimes something will work one time and then another time it doesn't work at all. So I'm pulling this. It's leaving some paint out, but it didn't do very much, as you can see. I think what I'm showing you there is there are some little black marks there left over from the initial laying down of the textured paper. So I decided not to give up, and I'm going to do another layer here. So I put a layer of white paint down, and because there's blue left on my brayer, it mixes in to a soft pale blue. Bit more white. So, yep, just smoothing it out. Sometimes you'll get lines and different, your roller leaves lines, and you can try and smooth them out, or you can leave them as part of your, your paper, your page rather, or your print. Excuse me. Sorry, I keep, clearing my throat. It's just I've got a frog in my throat as per usual. So I'm going back in with the packaging you can see it's printing really nicely on there, or it's marking in a nice way. Yeah, so it's giving a nice series of marks there, and I'm going to go back in and overprint. So you can do this as well, of course. You can print over you don't have to worry about it being exact. Remember, these are not prints, standalone prints. These are prints that we're using as collage material. So they're going to be ripped up. They're going to be backgrounds. I'm sorry about the dog in the background, if you can hear the dog. It's a bit of a nuisance. So this is... you can't think of these as standalone. I mean, you can do that, of course you can. But for this session, this is collage papers, what I call collage papers. So I can rip them up and use them in lots of different works, in my book, in my sketchbook, or whatever I want. Really happy with that print. Could be, more precise in terms of markings, but I'm really happy with it. I really like it. I love the colours as well. So then I'm going to take another print for what's left. There's a bit left there, so... Oh my goodness, sounds like a dog fight outside. If it's not fire engines and what have you, it's dogs. Never ends. Yes, I should get an extra print off this. There we go. So it's not clear, it's, you know, but I think it's interesting. It's a nice, it would make a really nice background. You know, you could add colours in there. I could carry on and use that again, but I decide to leave that one now and move on. But I've got a nice clean plate to work with, so that's good as well. I'm just rolling off. Okay, I'm just going to move into another room because the dogs are getting louder. And hopefully you won't be able to hear them in the other room. So, yeah, not as bad in here, although you can still hear them. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I punched out some little round discs to use on the gel plate, and so I'm putting them down. And so as I was doing it, I was thinking to myself, should I? And this is an issue that I always have, and I always think to myself, should I put the paint down first, or, you know, the tools or whatever I'm using, not so much tools, but, you know, the items that I'm using to make the marks. So I think I'm thinking that to myself while I've put them down, and I think, well, should I have done it first? So it's always a bit of a dilemma, and I'm never really sure. You know, I always doubt myself. But anyway, so I'm using a little bit of gold paint there, and I'm, you know, putting it on lightly so that I don't move the little discs around, the little circular discs around, which is why, you know, that's what makes me think, should it go on first? I don't know. I guess you just experiment and find out that way. The way, just, you've got to do it, and then you'll find out what works and what doesn't work. As it happens, you know, I get some nice results from this, so, you know, I'm not complaining. But yeah, you do doubt yourself when you're doing this. So I'm taking an initial print. And I'm using tissue paper. You try to get all of the excess paint off from there. I'm just trying to make sure that, you know, I get a nice clean print from so that's what I would consider quite a good print. You know, you can see it's very sharp and very clear, but it's not interesting. It's not so much. Now I start to take the circles off, and then I think, what am I doing? There's nothing underneath them, so there's nothing that I can take a print of. So, so yeah, the dilemmas, and I'm putting them back on again. So, I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you do jelly printing and you have these dilemmas, because I don't know if it's just me, like whether I can just not wrap my brain around it sometimes. I get confused about what should go first. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I think it is me. My brain doesn't work as well as it should. But yeah, anyway. So I'll carry on, and I've put some more paint down, and I'll do another layer and see what we get. See if we get something more interesting than the first one. And some green and yellow, and see what we get. You can blend, as you can see, there's a green and yellow, and you can blend that as much as you want. You can have a fully blended piece, or you can leave spots of colour around, heavily in one place and not so heavy in the other, and that just adds to the interest of the piece. That's up to you. Sometimes the plate does that anyway for you, and I'll demonstrate that in a little while, but some people like it fully blended. I like to see the different colours sometimes. If you're using more than one colour, it's quite nice to see them, especially if they complement each other, or they, a high contrast or whatever, just something interesting. And I think that's what I'm talking about there. It's just not very interesting, but whether I'm just trying to decide whether to use a fresh piece of paper or whether to use that and go over the top of it. But so I'm taking the circles off. I forgot I was going to do that. So I've taken all the circles off, and now I'm going to take a print. And I have used that piece of paper. So it looks to me as though I've left some of the circles, I've left them on. Yeah, I have. I've left some on. So now I'm going to take the rest off. So I think I did that. I left some of them on just to get an extra print and go over the print that I first did, to make it more interesting. And it turned out okay. Not brilliant, but it was a shame to waste it, Waste the potential of the second print is what I mean. So now this is going to be the third print. Using a bit of red and blue. And this is going to be interesting. So as I say, sometimes the gel plate will leave some spots of colour there underneath. So that's the sort of unpredictability of it, if you like. Using newsprint. I'm not worried about where it, as long as it touches the paper. I don't mind it not being in the centre, because, like I say, it's going to be ripped up and you're used as a background in some way. So I'm not worried about having it, centred perfectly or anything like that. I'm just using my brayer to put some extra pressure on as well. I'm sitting down really, so if I was standing up, I might get a sort of more pressure on the paper, and that turned out really well. Really like that. Love the colours, love the combination of colours as well, and the darker background, and that lovely light, blue coming through there. It's really pretty. There are lines from the brayer, or just, I think they must be from the brayer, showing through there as well, but I don't mind too much. That often happens. So happy with that one. And then we'll see what the next one is. I think I'm just cleaning the plate a little bit here. So I haven't decided what we're going to do next week, but yeah, maybe I will use some of these papers, or maybe I'll try to do something. If I were to use these papers, it would likely be in collage, but I don't think I'll be doing collage. We'll see. I don't know yet. I'd like to do something else, so we'll see. But you will see them in the future being used in some of my work. So I'm putting down some gold. So what I noticed with this gold paint, and you'll see in a minute, it starts to separate. And, initially I don't understand why, but you'll see in a minute it becomes very obvious. Yeah, so as you can see, it's happening before your very eyes. You can see the paint actually separating, and this means that there's moisture in there like water. And initially I couldn't understand, I was thinking, well, there's no water on the plate, so why? But then I realised that I probably didn't shake the bottle first, and it was a liquid one from a bottle rather than a tube. So I suspect that's what caused that. So make sure you shake your bottles first is the point, I suppose. So here I'm using a candle that's been burnt down, and it's a beeswax candle. It has that lovely texture in the shape of honeycomb. So really happy with the way that printed onto the plate. So yeah, it should be an interesting print. Partly the separation of the paint, and also I think I'm wondering why it's separated, and then I think I figure it out. I've seen it happen before with other people who do jelly printing. So it does happen. But I'm not using any water or anything like that. There's no water around. So it shouldn't, potentially it shouldn't do that, really. So there I'm going to put another layer down. And I'm using brown and a bit of blue. Brown and blue. See what we get. It's actually really nice. I like using two colours. It just gives a nice effect. And you can see the gel print did its bit there where it's left those marks. Makes it more interesting. And I'm not over blending, I'm just letting it do what it does. Take a print, we're using newsprint. So newsprint is nice because it's thinner than your average sort of copier paper, and you can collage really well with it as well. So it's a nice paper to use. It's inexpensive generally. So that's why I like to use it for this. I buy it in bulk, and it comes in sort of large sheets, and then I cut them down to the size of whatever I'm doing, and so these are cut down to the size of the gel plate rather. So I'm making sure, rolling a little bit to make sure I can get as much as possible up. Sometimes, it can be a bit stubborn and you sort of get paint left behind, but that's just that for anyone who's new. You mustn't worry about that. That happens a lot it happens to everyone. So you can't see very well there, but it is a really lovely print. There, I think, yeah, I hope you can see. It's a bit more defined off camera, and I really, really like it. It's lovely. So I was happy with that one. I can see there's a fair bit of brown left on the plate, so I'm going to try and get some of that up. So I hope you've been enjoying the nicer, warmer weather. It's been lovely. There we go, I'm pulling some of it up. Not all of it, but you know, it's pulling little bits up. You don't have to pull them up, you can leave them down, you know. And then they just, you know, attach themselves to whatever else you're pulling up. So any other prints, you know, you get some nice little results on the edges or wherever. Yeah, as I say, I hope you're enjoying the warmer weather. It's certainly been nice here. It's a little bit damper the last couple of days, but before that we've had some really beautiful weather, and it's been lovely to getting out in the garden, and yeah, just really nice. So, and going for a walk. I went to a nature reserve and took lots of photographs and enjoyed that. Enjoy sitting out in the garden with my coffee. So I'm putting some yellow and white on here, and yeah, I think I'm going to use the honeycomb wax again. Yeah, I really liked the effect. I'm trying to get sort of more of a defined print, I think, here by, you know, pressing it a little bit more. And that's the thing, you know, it was an experiment. The first time was an experiment. The second time you might do it differently to try and get different results. I could try rolling it right across, but I'm using it in this way. Just pressing it down into the paint as much as possible. And you can see some of the paint is coming up, which is fine. Let's see what we're going to get from this. I think I'm probably going to let it dry a little bit so that I can put another colour on the top. And here is where I'll probably edit it, and you'll see, yeah. So, you know, it takes a while to dry. You don't want to be hanging around. Sometimes it depends on the weather, you know, or the environment. Sometimes they dry fast and sometimes a bit slower. Sorry about that. I pulled the cord, the wire on my phone. So moved the camera a bit. So sorry about that. Yeah, just putting a blue down, and I think I decided I'm going to add a bit of red as well because I really like that, the colours together. So it was just a bit of an afterthought, and then works out nicely. Just trying to get the paint off there. And take a print. I'll do some mark making using tools at some point. Drawing into the plate and things like that on another occasion. I just wanted to do some, because we did that in the print session. I wanted to do something a little bit different on this one. But I think it would be nice to use the plate again at some point to do something a bit different. And I think if you do have a plate, I mean, I haven't used mine. I rarely use it. I did use it a fair bit, a few years ago, a couple of years ago, but then I hadn't really used it very much recently. And I think the thing is to practice, to keep practicing. So if you do have a gel plate and you want to get some really nice papers, some good results, do it, use it, and use it often. And the more you use it, the more confident you'll become. It's like anything else. Use it. And you can there's a lot of natural materials out, leaves and things like that, so you can use it. I really like this print as well. It's lovely, really nice background print to use. Lovely colours. It's interesting. Yeah, happy with those. So I guess now I want to try something different. So I'm going to try and get the rest of that off. Yeah, as I say, the more you use it, I think, the more confident you'll become, obviously. And you can practice lots of different techniques using it. In this video, I actually did do some other types of printing using magazine pages, but because it made the video too long, I had to cut it out. But I will do that. That probably needs to be a standalone video because it just took too long. But yeah, I will do that in future. So I'm using some of my leaves here. I don't get the best results, I must admit. Again, I didn't quite do it in the right order, so I put the leaves down. What I should have done was put the paint down first and then the leaves, but I put the leaves down first, so yeah. It's okay, I get some, background papers and you can always print over them or whatever. Nothing is a mistake, it's all just learning. So, and it's just trying things out, experimenting, and I'll know for next time. As I say, there's no mistakes here. When you're using these sorts of printing techniques, it's all just experimenting and trial and error. And sometimes you get lucky and you have these happy accidents, and then other times it's sort of, I learned something from that, and all is not lost. You can always, paint over it, print over it, do a collage over it, whatever. So yeah, just keep going. Using a bit of brown there. Not the most exciting colour. I could have used another colour on there, actually. It might have been a bit more exciting, put it that way. days. So, the leaves, one or two of the leaves move around, which doesn't help. But I'm persevering, carrying on. We'll see what happens. Quickly taking a print. I did a slow stitch video yesterday, but unfortunately, again, didn't work out to how I wanted. So again, yeah, didn't get to upload anything. But hopefully I'll do one in the next day or two. I'm still working on my journal. I'll be honest, the last week, just haven't felt motivated to come into the room and do very much. So, yeah, it's been a bit of not a great week for me working in my craft room. But, yeah, I will be doing a little bit more over the next few days. So, yeah. I did a little bit of embroidery, but it's very naive looking, so, but it's okay. I've put it in one of my books, and I will be using it, in some form or another. So here I'm just adding more paint over the top again. Finding it difficult. So if I had put the paint down first, then the leaves probably would have stuck to that paint. Whereas here, I'm rolling them out on the Geli print with nothing underneath them, and that's why they keep moving. If they'd had paint on the surface first, I imagine that they wouldn't move around so much, and we would have had some very different results. But nothing's guaranteed, so who knows? Took it away and then realised, no, I'm going to put it back and have a fresh piece of paper, and let's see what happens. And although this is sort of a negative print, I didn't show you that very much, but hopefully I'll show you it at the end. I like the print. It turned out quite nice. So I'm taking the leaves off, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to do here. I think I jumped forward here because, it just doesn't quite work out to how I wanted it. I'm having a think. Oh, not sure what I'm doing here now. Oh dear. So yeah, I'm putting the leaves down and trying to get another print. It doesn't, it's not really working out to how I want it to. But these, as I said, and I've said before, just playing with it and seeing what happens. I thought I cut this out, this bit, but it will be interesting to see. So I'm using tissue paper instead. Got a nice definition there. There we are. I mean, you know, it's almost a replica of the one I did before, so I don't know what I thought anything would come out different, but yeah, I mean, just been trying things out. So then I could take a print of this, and I think I do, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's you're not going to see that. It's just, you know, it doesn't work out. So yeah, I've jumped forward here because as I said, I did a bit of printing with some magazine pages, but it just took too long, so I've jumped forward, and I will do that in a future video, all on, you know, using magazine pages and things like that, because you can get some quite nice results. So we'll do that as a separate video. So I just having another go at something, using something different here. But more or less the same technique. So I'm using a lid to try and get some circles. Not sure about the colours that I've chosen there, but very autumn looking. So I'm just looking for something else. I think I want to add something else here. And so I choose a smaller lid from a jar, just to get some more texture in there. Yeah, so it doesn't show up very well on the camera, but the print, you know, when I do the print, it actually works really nicely. It pulls really nicely. A lot more definition than it shows on the camera. There you can see it through the film, the sheet of tissue paper. You can see the definition there. It looks more interesting. And then we get a really nice print. So happy with that. So I think that I decide, oh, am I going to do another one? I thought I'd finished there. Oh dear. Didn't realise I did another one. Ah, yes. So I'm using those. I think these are these lead stencils. Oh, dropped it on, and so I decided to leave it where it fell, which is more interesting than, laying it down in a perfect position. I quite like the way it fell, actually. More interesting. So I've got a fair few prints, actually, when I think about it. And I'll show you them at the end. So they're not as flat as your average sort of plasticky, stencils. But that's quite a nice print. That's not bad at all. It's a ghost or a negative print, not a ghost print, it's a negative print. Here I'm taking pieces off in the hope that I'll get a print off them, but as it happens, it doesn't work out. For some reason, I try, but I can't lift that print at all. So I think I leave it. Oh, I'm going to try here, and you'll see that it doesn't work. It just will not lift. I thought I'd cut that out of. I thought I'd cut that bit out as well, but obviously didn't. But yeah, it just will not lift for some reason. The only way I could get rid of the actual paint off the gel plate was to use, the alcohol gel, hand sanitizer to get it off. I used that to clean the gel plate, and it was the only way that I could do it. So I'm going to try and take a print, but as I said, you get a nice background and lovely colours, but it doesn't pull a print in the way that I expected it to. Had an extra layer of paper there that I didn't need. Yeah, I'm beginning to realise here that it's a bit of a lost cause. So I get some nice colours. That pink, red and blue look lovely together. So now I'm going to show you go through the prints. Like that one. Don't like that one so much, the green one. Love that one. It's one of my favourites. Really like that one. This is a roll-off paper, so I can use that though. There's some nice colours in there. That was something that I tried to print, didn't work out. They weren't too bad. The one that I liked was this one coming up with the colours in. Love those two with the honeycomb. That was the one we just did. That one worked out quite well. You didn't see me do that was when I was printing magazines. Didn't quite work out. So hit and miss. I love that one. And that's just a background page. So I love, there are a few there that I like. And considering how long it took me to do all of these, yeah. But I've got a fair few pages, and I will be adding them to the others that I have. And I think ultimately I used a nice range of colours that will be useful when it comes to collage, and I've got some nice backgrounds as well, so I'm really happy. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.